Hello everyone, I'm Aastha Srivastava and you're listening to Kissa Bazaar. Today, I bring a story that will put a smile on your face. This story may take you on a trip down memory lane to those wonderful school years that had our happiest days. The story has been written by Dilip Kumar Kapse and translated by Jayasri Viswanathan. In the story, there's a mischievous student with a strict father. Relatable, isn't it? Then there is a teacher who's a perfect gentleman. And above all, this story will remind you of your first crush from school. We like a bit of romance in our stories, don't we? Let's get to it then. I'm talking about times that were simpler and easier. There used to be a teacher named Jaytly who used to teach us math and physics. In a school where it was normal to thrash students for the smallest of mistakes, Mr. Jaytly was popular for being soft-spoken and gentle. He was the only teacher who never raised his hand on me or anyone else. One day, surprisingly, Mr. Jaytly came with a cane in his hand. I'm sure that cane must have been chopped off a sick, measly tree. Anyway, someone had complained that I and my friend were secretly smoking cigarettes at an isolated, under-constructed building after school hours. My school had strict rules for discipline and behavior, and they wouldn't let me get away with such acts. So, Mr. Jaytly stormed into the class with that measly cane after hearing that I and my friend Raj Kishore had started smoking. He ordered us to stand up from our benches and decided to start with Raj Kishore. Now, Raj Kishore was a thin and lanky sort of guy. I wasn't sure how much he would be able to endure. Still, Mr. Jaytly asked him to stretch his right hand and thwacked it with all his might. We heard a snap. The cane broke into two. Raj Kishore had to act quickly before the punishment intensified. He locked his palm between his thighs as if numbing the pain and allowed a stream of tears to roll down his eyes. He also mumbled something unspeakable in anger, but I cannot repeat his words. I felt sorry for Mr. Jaytly. I think he was trying to be a strict teacher for a change. That didn't work out very well, and he immediately abandoned his idea of punishment. Instead, he put his hand over Raj's shoulder and tenderly advised him to quit smoking. It was quite a sight. I enjoyed it. I was so moved by Mr. Jaytly's idea of punishment that I rushed home that day after school and announced decidedly that I had found a new tuition teacher for math and physics. I shall learn from no one except Jaytly, sir. Truth is, I needed extra help in these subjects, but had changed teachers at least 6 times within a year. My father no longer took my hunt for finding the perfect teacher seriously. He just asked who was it this time and walked away without waiting for a response. "Get an education, you jackass," was my father's favorite sentence, and he loved saying it again and again. I never understood it though. What would a donkey do with a degree? Those animals are meant to carry burden, right? Moving on. There was this girl, 2 years my senior, in the 12th grade. She was considered quite a beauty. Roadside Romeos from localities far, far away in the town used to eye her. It wasn't difficult for me to explain my address to any boy my age, no matter where I went in town. "Oh, you live in Sadhana's locality? Nice." I had a crush on her. She was indeed attractive, tall girl, taller than most teachers, with 2 long braided pigtails that went below her knees. Even in a crowd of other girls, she would stand out prominently because she looked less like a schoolgirl and more like a supermodel from Mumbai. Meanwhile, I got ready for my tuitions. I managed to form a small batch of like-minded students for Mr. Jatin's lessons. In another happy discovery, it turned out that Sadhana was also one of his tuition students, and her classes got over just when mine were about to begin. Just when I was waiting for my lessons on day 1 outside the tutor's room, and there she was. She came out with a group of her classmates, took one unmindful look at us, and walked away casually. I'm sure she was fully aware of her beauty and how young boys like us felt about her. Do you blame me, dear listener, for eyeing Sadhana like that? I was at that age where I was conscious of how my body was changing and how it was drawn to a woman just because of her figure. I couldn't even concentrate on my lessons. On his part, Mr. Jatin did all he could to teach me physics, including scolding me. It didn't make any difference to me. Yes, I could have stopped taking his classes, but now that I was getting to see Sadhana every day, how could I? Was Mr. Jatin able to teach me physics? Did I confess my feelings to Sadhana? To find out what happens next, stay tuned to Kissa Bazaar and wait for the next part of the story that we will upload soon.